Imagine you have 42 months left to live, but you never know when you're going to pass away. Everybody would want to have the control, dignity, and autonomy of their own life and feel safe and comfortable passing away, whether if that's at the hospital or in the comfort of your own home surrounded by the people that you love. The Department of Health should push forward in legalizing the physician aid in dying because physician aid in dying is not the same as euthanasia, and physician aid in dying gives the autonomy, dignity, and also provides a choice from an unwanted death. Hopping to my first point, physician aid in dying is not the same as euthanasia. According to Oregon.gov, titled Oregon's Death with Dignity Act, they define euthanasia as a doctor typically administering a lethal dose of medication to a patient. As well as in physician aid in dying, they defined it as a physician prescribes a lethal dose of medication to a patient, but the patient, not the doctor, administrates the medication. Euthanasia is illegal in all 50 states, while physician aid in dying is legal in 10 states here in America. The second reason why physician aid in dying is different from euthanasia is because physician aid in dying has set conditions that the terminally ill patient must meet before they are allowed to complete this choice of action. On the Death with Dignity Act organization, under their frequently asked questions, they go over the conditions that the terminally ill patient must meet before they are allowed to go through with this choice. They must have a diagnosis from 2 different doctors that they are terminally ill. They must be mentally competent, which means that they are rational and they must not have depression. They must also be a residents of the 10 states that allow physician aid in dying. And you also have to be capable of self-administering or ingesting the medication by yourself without an individual. This also entails a process of 2 oral requests that you want to go through this act with a 15-day time frame, as well as a written request. Going into my second point, physician aid in dying gives the terminally ill patients the ability to have autonomy, dignity, and a choice from an undesirable death. Respect for a patient's autonomy is one of the most fundamental rights of medical ethics. An article written by Barbara Lee titled Oregon's Experience with Aid in Dying, Findings from Death with Dignity Laboratory, published to the Annals of New York Academy of Sciences, she goes over the many reasons why terminally ill patients go through with the Death with Dignity Act. Most of the reasons are 93% say that they lost their autonomy, 88.7% are decreasing ability to participate in activities making life enjoyable, and 73.2% with loss in dignity. This shows that autonomy and dignity are one of the 2 biggest things that terminally ill patients look for when they want to pass away. Also, in an article written by Linda S. Dungdale, Baron H. Lerner, and Daniel Callahan on December 20, 2019, titled Pros and Cons of Physician Aid in Dying, published to the Yale Journals of Biological and Medicine, states that patients accustomed to making their own healthcare decisions throughout life should also be permitted to control the circumstances of their death. This backs up my idea, saying that it gives them their control, dignity, and also the choice from an undesirable death. Many people look down on terminal ill patients that go through with the Death with Dignity Act and also the physician aid in dying. A quote that can back that up is an article written by Robert Kiltzman, who is a professor of psychiatry at the University of Columbia. On July 28, 2018, he wrote an article called Terminally Ill Should Be Allowed to Die on CNN. He then goes over watching his dad suffer from severe cancer and always hearing him say that if this is what life is like, he just wants to die. Later on, after reflecting over the whole situation and that experience, he later on finds that these patients do want to live, but they realize that they are facing death and they want to avoid suffering and die with dignity. The plan is to have the Department of Health push for legalization of physician aid in dying to the Congress and have the same conditions and requirements that other states have with their physician aid in dying / Death with Dignity Act and laws, just so that it's not abused and there's not a slippery slope. For an article written by Thaddeus Pope, a director of Health and Law Institute, on June 17, 2017, titled Implementation and Practice of Physician Aid in Dying, published to the National Academic Press, he said, existing and proposed statutes include the same safeguards and provisions included to the initial Oregon law. This shows that other states that follow in the Death with Dignity Act also came along with other states like Oregon with the same conditions that I listed earlier. How has physician aid in dying helped other states? For Oregon improvement, on a article titled The Facts for Medical Aid in Dying in the United States, published by the Compassionate Choice organization, which wears awareness for physician aid in dying, said that the end-in-life care has improved overall. The hospice use is high in referrals and it's up 20%. And in-hospital rates are low in the nation, and at-home deaths are high in the duration, and violent suicides among hospice patients is virtually disappeared because they now have that choice of dying at home with their loved ones, and also they get to decide when they want to. The second way that it has improved is in Canada, where it is legal. In Canada, in an article written by Aaron J. Trachtenberg and Braden Manns on January 23, 2017, titled Cost Analysis of Medical Aid in Dying in Canada, published to the Canadian Medical Association Journal, says that physician aid in dying reduced annual health care spendings across Canada between $34.7 million and $138.8 million, exceeding the $1.5 million and $4.8 million to direct cost associations with an implementation. This proves that legalizing physician aid in dying will bring in money to the economy, as well as make sure that people feel safe and comfortable as they die, and making sure that they feel dignity and in control of the situation. To summarize, the Department of Health should push forward to the legalization of physician aid in dying, because the physician aid in dying is not the same as euthanasia, and physician aid in dying gives the terminally ill the ability to autonomy and dignity and control over their life and have a choice from an undesirable act.